They say the world is what it is, solid, objective, concrete. They teach you that it operates by fixed laws independent of your will, and that you are simply one among billions reacting to events, adapting to circumstances, striving to do your best in a world that gives what it chooses. But this is the greatest illusion of all. The world is not fixed. It is not independent. It is not indifferent. It is responsive, alive, and intimately connected with the unseen world within you. The outer world you walk through daily is not the cause of your life, it is the effect. It is a mirror reflecting not what you consciously wish for, but what you inwardly assume to be true. Now, if a mirror reflects your image back to you, you would not attempt to alter the mirror, you would adjust yourself. So it is with life. If you seek to change your outer world without first changing the image held within, you labor in vain. You are merely rearranging shadows, reacting to echoes. But the moment you shift your inner state, your assumptions about who you are, what you have, and what is possible, the reflection must change accordingly. It is law. This mirror-like nature of reality is not poetic metaphor. It is the very structure of experience. Your assumptions, your inner conversations, your self-talk, they form the blueprint of your external conditions. Nothing appears on the screen of space until it is first imagined and sustained within. And so the secret is not in trying harder or doing more in the world of effects, but in mastering the world of causes, your imagination. A man may live his whole life chasing opportunities, battling limitations, wondering why nothing ever changes, never realizing that his outer life is simply a copy of his inner assumptions. If he believes he is unlucky, the world will confirm it. If he believes he is destined to fail, life will reflect failures. If he believes others have the power and he does not, the world will always give him evidence of powerlessness. It is not that these things are true in themselves, it is that he believes them into truth by assuming their reality. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not bound by heredity, by history, or by the conditions into which you were born. You are bound only by what you accept as true. And if that is the case, then you are also free to choose what you assume. Think for a moment, if the world is a mirror, what happens when you assume that you are the creator of your destiny, that your vision matters, that your dream is worthy of fulfillment? The mirror will confirm it. Events will arise, people will appear, and the pattern of life will shift, not because you forced it from the outside, but because you have changed the image within. This is why one must act as if. Not because pretending does anything in itself, but because assumption is the doorway to embodiment. To assume is to enter the state. And when you enter the state, you call into being a new reflection. The world does not resist you, it reflects you. The only resistance you encounter is the resistance of old beliefs, old assumptions clinging to your mind like ghosts from a past identity. The world is clay, and you are the potter. But you shape it not with your hands, you shape it with thought, with belief, with a silent imaginal act. Every scene of your life is sculpted first in the workshop of mind. Before there was a building, there was a vision. Before there was an invention, there was a dream. Before the man ruled his kingdom, he ruled his inner world. To act as if you are going to build an empire is not arrogance, it is alignment. You align yourself with the image of power, of expansion, of dominion. You no longer ask the mirror for permission. You assume your place within the vision, and life, being reflective, complies. There is no room in this understanding for doubt. Masters humility. The one who says, "But who am I to build an empire?" is already shaping the reflection. The world will answer back, "Indeed, you are no one." But the one who says, "I am the one who builds, because I imagine myself to be so," will see the reflection shift. Doors will open. Ideas will stir. Resources will come. Why? Because he is working from the root. He is not trying to change the mirror, he is changing himself. Many struggle with the idea that they are responsible for their reality. They say, "But I did not imagine this illness, this debt, this betrayal." No, you did not consciously desire it, but somewhere within, you may have accepted it, feared it, or assumed it was inevitable. The mirror does not respond to desire, it responds to belief. If the world is a mirror, then your power lies not in reacting to appearances, but in initiating new assumptions. You do not wait for evidence to feel wealthy. You assume the state of wealth and feel it real, and then wealth appears. You do not wait for love to feel lovable. You assume you are already loved, already chosen, already whole, and life reflects that inner certainty. You can test this law. Begin with something simple. Imagine a conversation, a compliment, a gesture, and assume it is done. Live from that place inwardly. You will be astonished at how quickly the mirror shifts. And when you see it work in the small things, you will know it works in the great things. The empire you dream of is already yours if you would dare to assume its reality before a single brick is laid. The mirror does not question, does not judge, it simply reflects. So take your place. Enter the vision. Assume the end. And let the reflection reveal the truth of your assumption. Before there is anything seen, there is that which is unseen. The visible structure is but the outer shell of an inner belief. It may rise in stone and steel, in power and influence, but long before the eye beholds it, it has been formed in the stillness of mind. Every empire, whether of wealth, of vision, or of mastery, begins not with applause, not with resources, not even with deliberate strategy. It begins in silence. Silence is not absence, it is presence. It is not the lack of movement, but the fullness of still conviction. In this silence, the inner act takes place. The act that no man can see, no crowd can cheer, and no world can measure. It is the sacred motion of belief when the individual dares to say within himself, I am the one who builds. I am the one who expands. I am the one who commands. To the world, nothing has happened. There is no celebration, no announcement, no visible reason to believe in the one who has assumed this inner position. But in that moment, something eternal has shifted. The act has been performed. And what follows, what men will one day call achievement or destiny, is simply the unfolding of that unseen assumption. There are those who spend years preparing, collecting, waiting for the outer signals to give them permission to move. They gather knowledge, seek support, construct plans, but they have not yet assumed the position within. And so all their outer movement remains hollow, uncertain, without power. They may do much, but it is not creative doing. It is reaction. It is movement without conviction. It is sound without substance. The true beginning is quiet. It does not require a single word. The moment one accepts the reality of his inner claim, he has begun to move the world. Not with force, but with spiritual authority. For when a man is fully persuaded within himself, all things seen and unseen must obey the nature of that persuasion. The builder of an empire is not known by his speech, but by the depth of his inner knowing. He may walk unnoticed. He may speak little of his plans, but he walks in the feeling of having already achieved. He dines in his imagination at the table he has not yet built. He speaks inwardly from the place he has not yet reached. And in doing so, he builds not merely with materials, but with principle, with cause. This is why one must treasure the silence. In that still place, undisturbed by appearances, undistracted by the senses, one can assume his highest place without interference. There is no resistance in silence. The noise of doubt cannot reach into the depths of one who has claimed his identity within. The world may laugh. The world may question. The world may delay, but the inner act remains untouched. It is not ambition that builds empires. Ambition may strive, compete, chase endlessly. But ambition without conviction is like a ship without direction. It may move, but it drifts. What builds the great life is not hunger alone, but a certain stillness, a confidence, a quiet agreement within that says, I am this now. This inner act is not a matter of time. It is not developed over weeks or years. It is made in an instant, a decision, a shift in identity, a movement from one state of consciousness to another. In a moment, the beggar becomes the prince, not in the world, but in himself. And though the outer garments may remain the same for a while, the seed of transformation has already been planted. Do not despise the silence. Do not run from the moments when nothing appears to be happening. For in those moments, when you feel most detached from outer validation, you are closest to the power of creation. The world may call it solitude, but it is in that solitude that you commune with the creative law, with the higher self, with the only power that can truly alter your life. The applause will come. The resources will come. The plans will be made. But they will come as echoes, not as origins. They are the effect. They are the result of what you dared to assume in secret. The world only recognizes what you have already claimed. You cannot build outwardly what you have not already accepted inwardly. You cannot receive what you have not already identified with. If you wish to be the builder, you must begin by believing you already are. Let the stillness of your mind be filled not with doubt, but with assumed completion. Imagination is the place where you see what no one else can see. It is not illusion. It is the womb of reality. And when you imagine with feeling, with certainty, with repetition, you are performing the very act that builds empires. Not one brick has yet been laid, but the foundation is already there, and it is a foundation no man can shake. Let others debate methods and strategies. Let them argue over how things will unfold. You remain in your silent knowing. You act from the place of already done. You do not consult the world for its opinion, you declare your identity from within. That declaration made in the stillness is the only beginning you need. The unseen act is sacred. It is the first cause. It is the true source of all manifestation. And it is in this act, not in the noise of effort or the struggle of ambition, that the empire is truly born. The one who truly understands the power of imagination does not look out upon the world and ask what is possible. He does not study facts to determine what may or may not come to pass. He does not consult the visible to find permission for the invisible. Instead, he begins from the end. He stands at the destination inwardly before the journey has even begun outwardly. And in doing so, he lives not under the rule of limitation, but under the law of spiritual cause. Imagination is not a tool of fantasy. It is the structure of creation itself. Everything that appears in the world has been preceded by an unseen image. There is nothing that exists in form that was not first conceived in thought. But there is a profound distinction between imagining toward the end and imagining from the end. Most imagine toward their desires, hoping, wishing, asking how they might arrive. But the creative soul enters into the scene itself. He places himself at the conclusion, and from there he lives as though it were already accomplished. To imagine from the end is to see life not as an obstacle, but as a field ready to be shaped. There are no delays in the mind of one who sees from fulfillment. There is no competition, no fear, no question of worthiness. There is only the inner motion of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is not make-believe. It is not pretending. It is possession. The imagination becomes the act of receiving, and in receiving one becomes. When a man sees from the end, he lives under a different law. He no longer bows to appearances. He no longer adjusts himself to what others call reality. He knows the outer world is a reflection of inner state, and so he moves in the world not as one seeking, but as one sending forth. His every step is an echo of the reality already claimed within. Limitations dissolve before such a man, not because the world has changed, but because he no longer entertains the thought of limit. The world can only reflect back to him what he holds as true. And when he holds the end with unwavering vision, everything not aligned with it must fall away. The seed contains the tree, the embryo the man, and so the assumption contains the manifestation. The one who stands at the end within himself understands that time is not a barrier. It is merely the unfolding of what is already held in spirit. He does not look for signs with anxiety, nor does he rush to manipulate events. He remains faithful to the image, knowing that it is already his. Form is not fixed. It is responsive. It bends to the will of belief. It organizes itself around the intensity of inner conviction. When one lives from the end, the form is compelled to reveal itself in likeness to the inner pattern. Life becomes a servant of vision, and the senses begin to bear witness to the invisible cause. This understanding removes fear. For what is fear but the belief that something might go wrong? And what can go wrong for the one who is already standing at the finish line? If the end is accepted, then the process is not questioned. He does not ask how it will happen. He knows it is already happening. The way is included in the end. The people, places, circumstances, and opportunities are all drawn magnetically to the one who holds the end as present. To imagine from the end is to claim identity. No longer is one an outsider hoping to arrive. He is the insider living from having already arrived. This shift is not intellectual. It is emotional. It is felt. The tones of inner speech, the weight of conviction, the quality of thought all align to support the new state. And the outer world, being secondary, obeys. Some call this impossible. They say it is foolish to live from what has not yet occurred. But they speak as though the outer is master and the inner is servant. They have reversed the order of creation. The world is not the cause, it is the echo. It follows the command given silently in the theater of the mind. One who imagines from the end walks as if. He thinks as if. He responds to life as if he were already the embodiment of his highest vision. This is not arrogance, it is spiritual alignment. He knows that reality is molded by consciousness, and therefore he accepts only that which agrees with the end he has chosen. Even when outer facts contradict, he remains inwardly loyal. He does not adjust his vision to meet reality, he adjusts reality to meet his vision. He revisits the scene of fulfillment until it becomes natural. And once it feels natural, it must appear. Nature always expresses the most dominant feeling. This is not a matter of waiting. Waiting implies distance. It suggests the thing is not yet yours. But the one who lives from the end waits for nothing. He already has, he already is. The world simply has not caught up with the image, but it must, for it has no choice but to match the seed planted in the soil of imagination. He may appear calm to the world, even passive, but beneath the stillness is creative fire. He has already created. He walks with the certainty of one who knows he cannot fail, not because of effort, but because of faith in the unseen. The end is the beginning. The one who starts there will see what others miss. Where others see problems, he sees paths. Where others see delay, he sees unfolding. Where others see lack, he sees form not yet shaped. His mind is the mold, and life flows into it without resistance. To imagine from the end is to live with quiet dominion. It is to know that your world, your story, your experience, all of it will conform to the image you dare to hold as true. There is a moment when a man no longer wonders how. He no longer asks when. He no longer debates if it is possible. A stillness rises in him, and with it comes a quiet certainty that requires no evidence, no validation, no permission. In that moment, he has touched the root of all creation, conviction. And from that conviction, all things begin to move. You may study every strategy, read every book, acquire every connection, and still fail to build what you long for if conviction is absent. And yet a single man, armed with nothing but inner certainty, may alter the course of his life without lifting a finger outwardly at first. For the invisible arrangement always precedes the visible one. When the mind is certain, when it feels the weight of already having, then reality is not far behind. It must bend, it must respond, it must take the shape of the belief that formed it. Conviction is not merely confidence. Confidence can be shattered by a poor result, shaken by someone else's disbelief, or lost in a moment of weakness. Conviction is deeper. It is rooted not in appearances but in spiritual law. It is the unwavering knowing that what is assumed to be true, felt as real, must become so, not through force, but through the law of identity. The world cannot resist the one who walks in the state of the answered prayer. It must reflect what that person believes himself to be. When the inner decree is made, the outer world begins to organize. Events that seem random are not random at all. People appear. Conversations shift. Doors that were once locked swing open, not because the outer world suddenly became generous, but because the inner world has changed its order. What was once a distant possibility becomes an unfolding certainty. You need not know the details, you need not plan each step. That is not your concern. The builder of a structure may not hammer each nail, but he holds the blueprint. The inner man holds the image, and life executes the design. But it is not image alone that shapes reality, it is the conviction that the image is already real. When the feeling of certainty floods the mind, fear has no place to hide. Doubt may whisper, but it has no voice in the presence of one who knows. And the one who knows does not try to believe, he simply believes. He does not repeat affirmations to convince himself. He walks in the assumption of fulfillment and lets that inner assumption do the work. Everything responds to this inner decree. The cells of the body respond. The atmosphere around the individual responds. Even those who do not understand why they are drawn to him begin to play their part. The world, being shadow, must reflect the light cast by conviction, and the stronger the light, the clearer the reflection. Those who lack this inner certainty often attempt to build from the outside in. They wait for the world to confirm what they want to believe. But they wait in vain, for no external fact can give birth to internal truth. It is always the reverse. Truth felt within becomes fact seen without. The mind is the great architect and conviction is the final draft. You cannot hold two conflicting convictions and expect order. If you say, I am successful but feel the ache of failure, then the blueprint is compromised. And the world, receiving mixed instructions, delivers confusion. But when the mind is single, when it is undivided, when the feeling of certainty reigns without rival, then the outer must match the inner. This is not a matter of luck or fate. It is not a gift given to a few. It is a principle, and it is available to all. The one requirement is that you become aware of what you are truly assuming. Not what you say, but what you feel. For it is the feeling that directs the current of reality. And when that feeling is absolute, when it is unwavering, then the result must follow. Conviction is the spiritual signal that the state has been entered. You do not need to hold on tightly to your desire when conviction is present. There is no need to force or to chase. You have already moved. You have already crossed the threshold. And life must now align. Do not wait for proof to believe. Believe, and the proof will come. Do not ask for signs to feel secure. Feel secure, and the signs will follow. This is the path walked by those who understand. They place faith not in circumstances, but in the unseen power that shapes them. They rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And from that rest, life takes its cue. The moment you say within, it is done, and mean it not intellectually but emotionally, you shift the world. Something turns, something realigns, the vibration of your being is changed, and the law responds. The invisible bridge to your desire begins to build itself, one silent stone at a time. It does not matter what the world says. It does not matter what has happened in the past. It does not matter what others believe. What matters is the inner decree, I am. What you declare yourself to be with full conviction becomes the law of your world. Many try to make life obey them through effort alone. They labor, they exhaust themselves, they attempt to force outcomes. But life obeys not effort, but alignment. And alignment is achieved through conviction. It is the inner atmosphere you carry, the inner tone of certainty that says, I need not strive, I am. Conviction is not visible to others, but it is deeply felt by those who possess it. It becomes a magnetic field. It attracts its equal. It dissolves resistance. It holds its shape in the face of contradiction. And it continues unwavering until what was once invisible becomes undeniable. You do not need more answers. You do not need more time. You need only to dwell in the state of having. And the moment you do, and remain there without doubt, life itself will rise to meet the decree of your heart. The world you see, the circumstances you face, and the situations you encounter are not the root of your experience, they are the results of your inner vision. The outer world is but a reflection, an echo of the images and beliefs held within. The world cannot change until you do. What you perceive in your environment is not the cause of your emotional state, your reality, or your destiny. You are the cause, you are the origin. The world is the effect. This may be difficult to grasp for those who have been conditioned to look outward for answers, to blame the external for the conditions of their lives. We are taught that life is shaped by events, by what others do, by circumstances beyond our control. But the truth is far simpler, more profound, and more empowering. The world responds to what you believe. The events in your life are not random or arbitrary, they are a precise manifestation of your inner state. When you understand this, you cease to look for the source of your frustration in the actions of others. You stop giving your power away to external forces, believing that you are at the mercy of the world. You understand that the world mirrors you back to yourself. It does not initiate. It does not create, it only reflects. The world is a stage, and you are both the actor and the director. What you imagine, feel, and hold to be true within your heart will inevitably be reflected in your external world. The world responds not to your desires alone, but to your feelings. It responds to your inner assumptions and beliefs as though they were law. This is why it is not enough to wish for something or to hope for a change. A desire, even a strong one, will remain impotent until you align it with a deep emotional conviction, a certainty that it is already yours. You must live in the mental state of the fulfilled desire, not merely the state of wishing or wanting. And when you truly feel it, when you fully embody the assumption of your desire as already accomplished, the world cannot help but reflect this truth back to you. This principle applies to all areas of life, whether you seek success, love, health, or happiness. Whatever you imagine and live as true, the world must yield. The external cannot dictate your inner reality. It is only through the lens of your consciousness that the world is seen, and it is through this lens that it becomes shaped. You may say, but I am surrounded by conditions that do not reflect my desires. I am experiencing the opposite of what I want. How can I change the outer world? The answer is simple: change your inner state. Stop giving energy to the outer conditions. They are merely shadows of your past assumptions, and as such, they cannot define your future unless you choose to continue to identify with them. To transform your world, you must first transform your inner image. You must see yourself as you wish to be, live from the end of the desired experience, and ignore the contradiction in the present. If you wish to be wealthy, you must first assume wealth internally, not as a distant hope, but as an already existing state. If you wish for love, you must live as if you are already in the embrace of love, not waiting for someone else to give it to you. If you desire success, you must walk in the feeling of already being successful, knowing that the world will follow suit. The moment you stop relying on the world for evidence and instead begin to live in the assumption of your desired reality, the world will shift. It may not happen instantly in the way you expect, but rest assured the shift has begun. Events will unfold in your favor, seemingly by chance, but in truth they are part of a grand design you have set in motion. The law is simple. What you feel to be true within yourself, the world will bring to fruition. It is crucial to understand that the world will not appear to change right away. The mind has been conditioned to look for external signs of change, but the change must first take place within. This is the reason why so many struggle. They see only the outer conditions, and in doing so, continue to perpetuate them. But when you change internally, when you shift your perception and embrace the truth of your own power, the world must conform. It is an undeniable law. It is not enough to think positively or to hold superficial thoughts of success. This is where many go wrong. It is not about repeating affirmations or striving for external validation. It is about living in the state of fulfillment. Your belief must go deeper than the words you speak. It must reach the emotional core of your being, where conviction resides. When you feel certain that your desired reality is already in place, the world has no choice but to conform to that belief. Consider the story of someone who begins to imagine a new life for themselves. Perhaps they have been struggling with financial difficulties for years. They have grown accustomed to thinking of themselves as someone who lacks resources, who is constantly in need. But when they begin to shift their inner image, to see themselves as already abundant, as someone who effortlessly attracts wealth, the outer world begins to respond. Opportunities appear that were once unavailable. Old blocks dissolve. The world, having no other choice, aligns itself with the new inner truth. This same principle works in every area of life. It is the basis of all creation, both great and small. You are the cause. You are the creator. The world is the effect, responding in kind to the inner image you hold. The circumstances of your life are not determined by external events, but by the inner assumption you live by. To truly live this principle is to take full responsibility for your life. It is to understand that nothing happens by accident, that you are not a victim of chance. It is to know that your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs are constantly shaping the world around you. And when you are aware of this, you realize that you hold the power to change everything simply by changing the inner image you hold of yourself. You must not look to the world for validation. It cannot give you permission to create. You must create from within and allow the world to follow. The world is the effect and you are the cause. Whatever you imagine and live as true, the world will yield. When one truly grasps the nature of imagination, it becomes clear that it is not a frivolous escape from reality, nor is it a distraction from the pressing matters of life. Imagination is not a means to escape the world, it is the means by which the world is shaped. It is the great creative force through which all things come into being. The moment you begin to understand this, you step into the realm of mastery. For what is the world if not a projection of thought? And what is thought but an expression of the imagination? Everything you see around you, everything that has ever been created by man, began as an image in the mind. The chair you sit in, the building you work in, the technology you use, none of these things appeared by accident. They were first imagined. They were first conceived in the mind of one who had the audacity to believe in something that had yet to manifest in the physical world. And then, Through the power of imagination, they came into being. Imagination is not a passive act. It is not something that happens to you. It is an active process, a creative process. It is the very substance from which all creation flows, and it is available to every individual. It is not confined to artists or inventors or dreamers, it is the universal tool of creation. Whether you realize it or not, you are always imagining. Your thoughts, your inner conversations, the images you hold in your mind, they are all a form of imagination. And whether these images are conscious or unconscious, they are the seeds that shape your world. But there is a key difference between those who use imagination to create consciously and those who allow it to run on autopilot. Most people use their imagination unconsciously, allowing it to be governed by external circumstances, by fears, doubts, and the limitations imposed by others. Their thoughts are filled with images of lack, fear, and insecurity, and as a result, their world reflects these images. They wonder why they cannot break free from their current circumstances, why they cannot move forward, why they continue to experience the same patterns over and over. The answer is simple: their imagination is working against them, not for them. But the person who understands the true nature of imagination will consciously direct it. They will not allow their thoughts to be dominated by external circumstances. Instead, they will use their imagination to create the world they wish to experience. They will hold clear and vivid images of their desired reality and give them life through their thoughts, emotions, and actions. They will live as if they are already the person they wish to become, and in doing so, they will create the conditions for that reality to manifest. The power of imagination is not in the mental image itself, but in the feeling that accompanies it. It is not enough to merely picture what you want. You must feel it as though it is already yours. The feeling of already having it, the emotional experience of fulfillment, is the key that unlocks the power of imagination. This feeling of ownership, of certainty, is what causes the images you hold in your mind to become real. The imagination must be saturated with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Without this feeling, the image remains a fantasy. But when you feel it, when you live in the state of fulfillment, you are not simply imagining, you are creating. This process is not about wishful thinking or hoping for the best. It is about assuming the reality of desire. It is about entering into the state of the wish fulfilled and living from that state, regardless of the present circumstances. The present moment is irrelevant to the one who understands the power of imagination. It does not matter what is happening now, because the creative process does not begin with the present moment, it begins with the imagination. The present moment is simply the reflection of past images and beliefs. To change the reflection, you must change the image. When you live from the end, when you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, the world begins to shift. Opportunities arise that were not there before. People enter your life who are in alignment with your new state. The circumstances you once struggled with begin to rearrange themselves to support your new reality. This is the natural law of creation. The outer world is a mirror of the inner world. And when you change the image, the reflection must change as well. But there is no need to force it. Imagination is not about effort, it is about surrendering to the process. The moment you accept the truth that the world responds to the images you hold in your mind, the process becomes effortless. It is not about trying to make things happen. It is about living from the end and allowing life to unfold in its own time and manner. The moment you imagine, the moment you feel it as already true, the creative process begins. Your job is simply to remain faithful to that image and to trust that it will unfold. This is the true power of imagination. It is not a tool for escape, but a tool for creation. It is the means by which all things are brought into being. It is the spark that ignites the fire of creation. And it is available to every individual, regardless of their circumstances or past experiences. The moment you begin to consciously use your imagination, you begin to step into your true power as a creator. There is no limit to what you can create through the power of imagination. The only limit is the limit you place on yourself. Your imagination is as vast as the universe itself, and through it you can create anything. You can create the life you desire. You can create success, abundance, health, love, whatever it is you wish to experience. The power is within you, and it has always been within you. You need not look outside yourself for validation or permission. Everything you need to create the life you want is already within you. The key is to understand that imagination is not separate from you. It is not something that happens in your mind, it is something that is you. It is your creative essence, your divine power. And once you recognize this, once you claim your imagination as your own, you will see that there are no limits to what you can create. The world is not something to be endured or accepted, it is something to be shaped. And through your imagination, you are the master sculptor. There is an invisible force that governs all of creation, an inner power that resides within you, within everyone. Yet, for many, this power remains dormant, overlooked, or even denied. To unlock the potential of your life, to manifest your desires, and to reshape your reality, the first step is always the same. You must first believe in your own power. This power is not a distant, abstract concept, nor is it something you need to search for externally. It is you. It is your consciousness, your ability to choose, your imagination, your belief. Without your belief in your own power, the world remains unchanged. But the moment you accept that you are the author of your experience, the moment you acknowledge that nothing happens in your life without your inner constant, the world begins to shift. It rearranges itself to accommodate the truth you now carry. So often individuals wait for circumstances to change, for the world to be different, for others to act in a certain way. But the truth is, nothing can change without your inner agreement. You are the deciding factor. You are the one who must decide what is true for you. You are the one who must believe in your own ability to create. When you accept this truth, everything begins to flow with ease. The external world, which once appeared so formidable and unyielding, becomes a mere extension of your inner vision. Many live their lives as though they are victims of fate, as though they are at the mercy of forces outside their control. They blame their circumstances, their past, their upbringing, and their surroundings for the condition of their lives. They feel powerless, as if they are trapped in an unchangeable reality. But the moment they decide to take ownership of their lives, to accept that they are the creators of their reality, everything begins to shift. There is power in the choice to believe in your own power. It is a choice, not a given. The world will continue to mirror the beliefs you hold about yourself and the world around you. If you believe that you are powerless, then your world will reflect that. If you believe that you are incapable of achieving your desires, your reality will confirm that belief. But if you decide that you have the power to shape your life, if you choose to believe in your own creative ability, the world will align with this truth. This power comes from the understanding that the mind and the world are one. What you think, what you believe, what you feel, is reflected back to you in your external reality. This is not a passive process. The mind is not a passive observer of the world. It is a powerful creative force that actively shapes the conditions of your life. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the creator of them. The conditions you see around you are simply a mirror of the beliefs you hold within. Change the belief, and the world must change. The process of transformation begins when you believe that you can change. Many resist this concept because they have been conditioned to think that external circumstances are the primary force in their life. They are taught to look outward for validation, for approval, and for evidence of their own worth. They are taught to believe that their circumstances are beyond their control, that they are subject to forces they cannot influence. But this is a lie. The power to transform your life lies within you, and it has always been there. You must first believe that you are worthy of transformation, worthy of change, and worthy of the desires you hold. Without this belief, you will continue to struggle against the tide, unable to manifest your dreams. When you accept that you are the cause of your experience, you also accept that you can create the life you desire. You have the power to alter your world by altering your inner beliefs, your thoughts, and your assumptions. This shift in mindset is not something that happens overnight. It requires practice, it requires consistency, and it requires faith. But once you make the decision to believe in your own power, once you step into the awareness that you are the creator of your life, you begin to move with certainty, with confidence, and with purpose. The world, which once seemed chaotic and unpredictable, begins to reflect back to you the power of your own mind. Opportunities appear where there were none. People show up who align with your vision. Circumstances begin to bend in your favor. You must also recognize that this power is not external. It does not come from someone else or from a source outside of you. It comes from within. The power to create, to transform, and to manifest is already yours. It is not something that you need to acquire. You are not lacking in power, you are simply unaware of the immense creative ability that resides within you. When you tap into this power, when you consciously direct it toward your desires, you begin to experience the world in a completely different way. But the key is to believe. Belief is the gateway through which the creative process flows. Without belief, nothing happens. Without the conviction that you have the power to shape your reality, your efforts will be in vain. The world responds to your belief. It does not respond to your wishes or your hopes. It responds to your deep, inner conviction that what you desire is already true. When you hold that belief with unshakable faith, the world begins to rearrange itself to bring your desires into being. There's no external force greater than your own inner belief. The world is not the cause of your circumstances, it is the effect. The cause is always within you. When you believe in your own power, when you trust that you can shape your life according to your inner vision, nothing can stand in your way. You have the power to create the life you desire, and once you accept that truth, the world will begin to reflect it back to you. It is time to stop waiting for the world to change. It is time to stop waiting for others to give you permission, for circumstances to align, for the right time to come. The time is now. The power is within you. The transformation you seek begins with your belief in your own power. You must believe that you are capable, that you are worthy, and that you are the creator of your life. And when you do, the world will align with that belief, and all things will become possible. There is a truth that often eludes those who feel confined by their circumstances. They look around and perceive limitations, obstacles, and barriers, believing that these external factors are the cause of their struggle. But the reality is far more empowering. The only true limitations are the ones you accept, the ones you impose upon yourself. The external world, with all its apparent challenges, cannot limit you unless you allow it to. The only limits that exist are the ones you create in your own mind. Once you release these self-imposed restrictions, you will discover that your potential is boundless. From the moment you step into the awareness that the outer world is merely a reflection of your inner state, everything changes. No longer will you see yourself as a victim of circumstances or a bystander to life's unfolding. Instead, you become the creator of your reality. You no longer see limitations as external forces beyond your control. Instead, you recognize that these limitations are only the result of the beliefs and assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. And when you change those beliefs, the limitations dissolve. It is important to understand that limitations are not inherent to the world. The world does not operate according to a set of predetermined rules that constrain you. There are no cosmic forces holding you back, no external powers preventing you from achieving your desires. The limits you encounter are simply the product of the mental constructs you hold. They are not real. They are only as real as the thoughts that sustain them. Consider how many times in life people have achieved what others thought was impossible. People who were told they would never succeed, never be good enough, never achieve greatness. But they refused to accept the limitations placed upon them. They believed in their own potential, and by doing so, they transcended the supposed boundaries that others tried to impose. They tapped into an inner knowing that their potential was not constrained by the opinions or perceptions of others, and they proved that nothing is truly impossible. The truth is that you are not bound by the limitations of the world. You are not defined by your past, your current circumstances, or the beliefs others have placed upon you. The only limits that exist are those you believe in. These limits are nothing more than mental barriers, walls that you have built in your own mind. But the moment you recognize that you have the power to tear these walls down, everything shifts. The world around you is constantly changing, constantly shifting in response to the inner thoughts and beliefs of those who live in it. This means that no external factor is permanent unless you allow it to be. If you hold an image of yourself as limited, the world will reflect that back to you. But if you change the image, if you begin to see yourself as limitless, the world will conform to that new vision. It is not a matter of waiting for the world to change before you change. It is a matter of changing yourself first. When you see yourself as boundless, when you realize that there are no limits to your potential, the world must reflect that back to you. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach will begin to materialize. People will show up in your life who support your new vision. Circumstances will align to help you manifest your desires. But the key to this transformation is your mindset. You must begin by seeing yourself as capable of achieving anything you desire. You must stop seeing yourself as someone who is confined by circumstances, by past experiences, or by external conditions. You must let go of the belief that the world is the cause of your limitations. The world is not the cause, it is the effect. It is your beliefs, your thoughts, and your assumptions that create the limitations you perceive. There are no limitations in the universe, except for the ones you create. Once you begin to embrace this truth, once you begin to see yourself as boundless, you open up an entirely new realm of possibility. You will find that the obstacles you once saw as insurmountable are now nothing more than illusions. The difficulties you face are simply opportunities for you to prove to yourself that you are not bound by anything. You have the power to break through every limitation, every barrier, and every obstacle that stands in your way. This is not some lofty ideal or abstract concept, it is a practical everyday truth. You can begin today to dismantle the limitations you have imposed upon yourself. You can begin by changing the way you think about your circumstances. Instead of seeing challenges as insurmountable, see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of viewing setbacks as signs of failure, see them as stepping stones on the path to success. The process of releasing limitations is not about wishing them away or hoping that they will disappear. It is about changing the way you relate to them. When you stop viewing yourself as powerless in the face of external conditions, you reclaim your power. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as the creator of your reality. When you change your perception, the external world begins to change in kind. The world cannot limit you unless you allow it to. The moment you decide that there are no limitations, the world responds. The doors that once seemed closed to you will open. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach will come to you. You will find that the world bends in your favor when you align your inner state with the limitless potential that is always available to you. This is not just a philosophical concept, it is a law of nature. The universe does not operate according to arbitrary rules or limitations. The only limitations that exist are those you impose upon yourself. Your potential is limitless, and when you realize this, you will find that the world around you shifts to reflect your newfound awareness. The only thing standing between you and your desires is your belief that there are limits. Once you release that belief, you step into a life of boundless possibility. You are not bound by your past, your present circumstances, or the opinions of others. You are free to create the life you desire, free to break through any limitation, free to achieve your wildest dreams. The only limits that exist are the ones you place upon yourself. When you release them, you will find that your potential is truly boundless. The journey through these key principles has illuminated a profound truth. You are not bound by the external world, your past, or the limitations others try to impose upon you. The power to shape your reality lies within you. Every challenge, every desire, every goal begins in the mind, and it is through the mastery of your thoughts, beliefs, and imagination that your world transforms. The external world cannot hold you back unless you allow it to. The limitations you perceive are mere reflections of the beliefs you hold about yourself and your potential. Once you recognize that your imagination is the most potent tool you have for creation, and that you are the architect of your life, the power to bring about the changes you desire is in your hand. By believing in your own power, living from the end of your desires, and seeing yourself as the creator of your experiences, you break free from the chains of limitation. The world begins to respond to your inner vision, aligning itself with the thoughts and assumptions you hold about yourselves and your future. What you feel and believe is what you will experience. When you live as though your desires are already fulfilled, the world shifts to match that inner reality. The limitations you once thought were insurmountable are not real, they are simply barriers you have created in your mind. The key to freedom lies in dismantling these barriers, in recognizing that you are not bound by anything outside of yourself. Once you believe in your own boundless potential, you unlock a reality that is as limitless as your imagination. The external world is simply a reflection of your inner world. The only true limitations are the ones you accept. When you change the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you imagine your life, the world around you must change. Your potential is boundless, and it is only through your own belief in this truth that you will step into the life you have always desired. The power to transform your world is within you, and it always has been. When you fully embrace the truth of your own creative power, nothing can stop you. No external circumstance, no past failure, no opinion from others can limit you. You are the creator of your reality, and the possibilities before you are infinite. The world is yours to shape, to mold, and to bring into alignment with your innermost desires. The moment you step into your own power, you will see that everything you need to create the life you envision is already within you. Your potential is boundless, and the only limitations that exist are those you place upon yourself. Break free from them and step into the life you are meant to live. The world will bend to your vision, and you will become the creator of your reality.